Welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. Today we are going to be doing something I've been waiting to do for quite some time, and that is plant our indoor garden. Every year, no matter where I have lived, I have tried to garden throughout the wintertime. We live here in Michigan. As you can see behind me outside, there's some snow and sleet and freezing rain and other things going on outside. And we don't have an environment here where I can do too much gardening throughout the wintertime. So we've gardened in greenhouses and basements with grow lights, on shelves, all these different things. Here at this new house, we have this wonderful atrium, this room that's basically like a sunroom, a large sunroom that's built onto the house with lots of big windows. And so today we're going to be planting out our green stock garden towers. These are vertical garden towers or grow towers that we're going to be able to grow an enormous amount of vegetables throughout the wintertime and summertime. These can be moved out on the patio as well. But these can be used to grow an enormous amount of food in a super small space. So we have this little area here. It's kind of like a little triangle point that has these windows on all sides. And so we're going to plant 3 of these towers out here if I have enough soil. So we're going to get these planted today. I'm going to show you how these things work, how they drain. I always put a link to this stuff in the description of the video, to these towers specifically over on their website. You can find out more information and see all the different things they offer using the link there. So let's dig in, get these things filled with some soil, and work on some of the drainage for these so that we don't have a mess when we water them. So these are the bases for the towers, and they have a drain system on them. So they do come with a cap for this, a plug, I believe, so you can actually plug this off. And this just acts as a pan, so if you don't have a drain near you, or if you're putting this on a patio or a screened-in area or sunroom or something like that on a floor, and you don't want any of the excess water that drips or drains through this to get on your floor, it'll just collect in this pan and then evaporate off. But they also have the option to plug a piece of tubing into this, and they actually come with a short piece of tubing. This can just kind of run off your patio or something like that. But I actually have a drain in this area where I can actually tube this over and get it into a drain. So I can water these heavily, it'll water all the tiers, any excess will come through and then drain out. They do actually have rollers that you can get that come with it too, that you can roll this thing around, but I'm just using mine just right on the floor here. So I'm gonna get some tubing ran here, and then we'll start filling these tiers up, and then we'll get everything planted. This is how each tier will look. They have, obviously we're going to fill them with soil, and then they have this little diverter here. It has little holes that kind of line up with each of these little tiers where we're going to grow. And this helps to distribute the water evenly and equally. It'll soak into the soil right out here, and the roots will grow, right underneath here, and it all will get good equal amounts of water. And then any excess that builds up in here that can't drain through fast enough goes through and goes down the center, and then will get drained out to our drain. So So as we're getting these filled up, I just want to talk a little bit about the soil. In the past, we have had all of our own compost. We've never, I think this is the first time, maybe second time I've ever bought a full bag of soil. I think I did it once last year to start some seeds, but normally we use all of our own compost, and you certainly can do that. I will tell you though that these garden towers, they specifically call for a soil mix that has some kind of vermiculite or perlite in it, as well as some peat moss or cocoa coir, and then obviously your nutrient soil, which is like vermicompost or composted manures or some type of nutrients in there as well. This stuff is super light, and it is not going to stick together. The one problem I did have with using pure compost in here is that the water did not drain through really well. I needed to add more vermiculite and more peat moss to it, and I didn't. And so if you're going to fill these kinds of towers or even pots inside your home to grow container gardening, you want to use a loose soil that can drain pretty well and also holds moisture. which is where that cocoa coir or peat moss comes in. It'll hold a lot of that moisture in. So the stuff I'm using, this is a Miracle-Gro product. I bought this stuff all at Home Depot. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it, garden centers and other places like that. But this is an organic, so it doesn't have any fertilizers or anything like that in it. It doesn't have anything that I don't want to grow vegetables in, and so this is what we're using here. So a lot of these bags, however, are frozen because they're outside in the garden center at Home Depot, and so I'm trying to thaw some of them out so that I can get the soil out. Some of them are frozen solid. So I'm just going to finish filling up these other 2 towers, and then we will get ready to plant out and start growing some stuff. So we've got all the towers all filled up pretty good with soil, and now it's time to put the tops on. The top is actually the fill tray, and it actually has some markers in it. It tells you if you have 3 tiers, 4 tiers, or 5 tiers, this is how much water you put in it. And all you need to do is just fill this up with water up to the number of tiers. We have 5, so we'll fill it up to here, and then just let it drain through, and that should be just the right amount of water for to water everything. We're gonna get this clipped into place. We'll do that for all of them, and then we're gonna go ahead and fill them all up with water and just kind of wet the soil down a little bit. Well, we've got everything watered, and I actually let them sit overnight, so it's the next day now, and let that dirt, that soil, kind of soak up some of that moisture. The stuff with peat or cocoa coir, it's very resistant to absorbing water at first, so you got to kind of soak it. You can see some of it here is still pretty dry, so I've got a solution for that as well when we're planting our seeds. So we are ready to start planting. This is actually an enormous amount of growing space. It doesn't look like much because each one of these towers sits in, about an 18-inch square of floor space, but you can plant a whole lot of vegetables and things in here. So the drainage system turned out pretty good down into this little floor drain. And all this floor drain does, it just goes down right here, and then it pops out somewhere over here. You see it right there. There's a tube. And that just drains out onto the deck or through the deck onto the ground. So these are all going to get varying light. The ones, obviously, all the pockets on the south side of these towers are going to get the most amount of light. Some of the pockets that are like on this side here, like this one, the one down there, they might not get as much light, and so I'm going to try to plant them kind of accordingly. I'm also going to plant some cucumbers in the bottom that can kind of vine around here and fill in this space. Might look kind of cool. So let's get started and get these things planted out. I do have a couple things that I normally do. I'll use worm castings sometimes, especially for some of our real fine seeds, so like lettuce and carrots, stuff like that. I can just kind of sprinkle those in here, and then I'll cover it with a light coating of the worm castings, and then we'll spray them down with a spray bottle that'll keep them moist. I've got a bunch of seeds. It is winter time, and so there haven't been a lot of options around yet. MI Gardener Seeds, he just got his new stuff out. This is last year's stuff. He's got some new stuff out. I've actually placed an order, but I haven't received it yet. So we'll be planting out some of the stuff that I had just left over from last year, some things I got at Home Depot and various places, and some of our own seeds that we have saved from our beans and other things like that. We'll start with some cucumbers. Because these ones won't get as much light, they can actually grow down around here and get as much light as they want that way. So we'll plant 3 in each. We'll plant a couple bush beans around the bottom of all these. So with the next tier, I'm going to do carrots. So with carrots, The easiest thing to do is just to sprinkle them in here, and then we'll thin them out later. And I'm just going to come back with worm castings. Worm castings are obviously rich in nutrients. They're also going to help to hold some moisture right to cover those and keep them moist enough to sprout. And then for real fine seeds like this, I'm just going to use a spray bottle and just soak the surface. So I'll be planting a lot of greens in here, lettuces, spinach, kale, other things like that, and most of the rest of the pockets here. Lettuce, similar to carrots, real small seed. I'm just going to sprinkle it in there, and then I'm actually out of vermicompost. I don't have any more, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the potting soil and just sprinkle it over the top, and then we'll spray those down as well. So I actually did not have a sprayer, so I found a clean spray head, and I'm just using a bottle here. It's actually a calving bottle, a nursing bottle for calves. So I'm using warm water, and you don't have to use warm water, doesn't really matter. It's going to cool down anyway, but this is actually some seed that came with the green stalk towers. It's mixed lettuce. Of course, the favorite, the M.I. Gardner Black-Seeded Simpson, which has been our favorite to grow and eat. We don't really even eat a lot of radishes, but I always plant them. They're satisfying to grow. They grow quickly, and they are good in salads. Kale, one of the hardiest and easy to grow plants known to man, and also good for you. Now that we're to the top, I'm going to grow some of the taller stuff. Spinach will grow pretty tall. I also have some onions and some giant Caesar type lettuce, which also will grow fairly tall. So we'll use the open air space here where we can grow the taller stuff. So same process for these. And we planted some onions on the top, and I missed a tier, so we're going to add some basil in here, and we'll be finished. All right, we have successfully planted in this little space with these 3 towers more vegetables, more food than I used to grow at the farm in a 25-foot long raised bed. There is just an enormous amount of space in these vertical towers, which is great. So I will of course take you guys along for updates. It'll be cool to see how things grow. There might be some things that don't grow well. This room stays about 64 degrees when the sun comes out during the day. When the sun does come out here in Michigan, it'll warm up to about 75 in here. It gets real nice in here, but then overnight it'll drop down to between 60 and 64 degrees, somewhere in there. Some of the things we've planted may do great. I have a feeling that some of the leafy greens and other things like that will do great with the lower light in the wintertime here. Some of the other things, cucumbers, I'm anxious to see kind of how they'll do. Will they vine around on the ground here? Will they have enough light? Will they have enough heat? So we'll see how things go. One of the reasons we bought this house was for this particular area with all these windows. Now you can use these towers in any south-facing window during the wintertime. So you could put this tower in front of in a living room if you wanted to, or in a family room, or in a sunroom, or anywhere that you have some good-sized south-facing windows. And if you're not using the drain tubes like I am, you can actually rotate the towers around, every day or every week or whatever, just rotate them a little bit so that each side of the tower gets, adequate amount of light. So So I would definitely encourage you guys to go check these towers out if you're looking to grow things in the wintertime and in the summertime. These are great for patio gardens. They're great for apartments. They're great for, throw this on a balcony, throw this a couple of these out on your patio, and you can just grow a ton of food. They're super simple, a lot easier than raised beds or anything like that. I mean, they're just an easy way to grow. So lots of food in here. I can't wait to see things start to grow and actually get some harvest off these things. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the first gardening video in the new house. I'll be taking you guys along. I've got a lot more things to plant in here. I've got some cool trees coming that we'll be planting and some other little wall mounted things and some just kind of unique ways to garden inside. And so hopefully you guys will stick around for those things. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on today's video. Of course, subscribe if this is your first time to the SSL Family Dad channel. We'd love to have you tag along. Lots of DIY projects and fixing things and gardening and lots of outdoor things here coming up in the spring as well. So we'd love to have you tag along for all the homesteading fun here. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.